At a remote desert base, a young female officer walked across the training yard with a calm face and a hidden limp. The SEALs smirked, whispering jokes about the strange tattoo on her arm. They didn't know it was the mark of a unit that officially didn't exist. When the commander arrived, saw that tattoo, and saluted her, every man on that base went silent. What happened next became a story they'd never forget. Before we dive in, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? Under the blistering Afghan sun at Outpost Sabre, where every breath of wind carried dust and threat, Lieutenant Commander Riley Monroe crossed the packed dirt of the SEAL training yard with the sharp posture of a veteran and the silent aura of someone who didn't need to prove herself, but that didn't stop the snickers, the quiet chuckles, the smirks curling from the lips of the 6-man recon detachment watching her approach, boots polished, muscles flexed beneath their desert camo, one of them whispering, "What's she even doing here?" As if she hadn't just been assigned full operational oversight of their pre-deployment simulation, as if the Reaper Fang tattoo peeking from under her right sleeve was nothing more than a decorative accident, not a relic from a Black Ops unit long disbanded and officially non-existent. Task Unit 13, callsign Ghost Knife, the same unit that had gone dark in Kunar province after an unauthorized deep strike mission had gone sideways. Casualties denied, medals never issued, survivors unnamed, but Riley had been there, buried under burning stone and shrapnel, crawling through blood-soaked gravel to drag out 2 broken men, one with his face missing, the other whispering coordinates through shattered teeth while she radioed a close air support request using a flare and a gutted comms unit jammed into her vest. And she didn't need to talk about it. Not to these boys still high off their Bud-S certs and adrenaline. Boys who thought chest tattoos and protein shakes made them ghosts. But she could hear them laughing even as she opened the mission file, even as she outlined the live simulation they'd be running under full blackout protocols. Even as she handed out the encrypted field routers and handed over their pride with a calm, clinical tone that hinted at nothing, not rage, not threat, just ice. And when one of them, Lieutenant Chase Ford, son of a rear admiral and 2-time Bronze Star recipient, smirked and said, "We'll keep it simple for you, ma'am. Wouldn't want you getting lost." She didn't blink, just looked him in the eye and said, "You get 3 hours to prep. After that, the hunt begins." And walked away while they laughed again, louder now, mocking the way she limped slightly, not knowing the limp came from nerve damage sustained in a mountain firefight that never made the news, from a tour that officially never happened, from a scar etched into her hip by an IED designed to shred tanks. 3 hours later, when the simulation began and Monroe vanished into the fake Afghan village constructed from rusted shipping containers and shattered windows. They thought it would be easy, just a drill, just a babysitting operation with some pencil pusher tagging them with paintballs. But what followed was 6 hours of pure chaos. Drones dropping out of the sky mid-flight, digital comms loops tricking them into rerouting into dead ends, their own GPS pings bouncing back as if someone was spoofing their positions in real time. One by one tagged by a sniper no one saw, until the last of them, Ford, stood on the rooftop of a faux bazaar yelling into his headset, "We've been breached. Who the hell's running this?" Only for a red flare to ignite 10 feet behind him where she stood, relaxed, unarmed. A dry streak of red chalk on her fingers and a blade on her belt so old it still bore the serial code from Operation Gothic Serpent. And when he froze, she simply said, "Dead. Debrief in 20. Then walked away. And the look on his face, shock mixed with a humiliation so deep it silenced the tent for hours, was still burned into memory when, 2 days later, SEAL Commander Nathan Briggs flew in unannounced from Bagram with 2 staff officers and a civilian analyst in tow, and the men who'd laughed now stood at attention as he reviewed Monroe's logs, said nothing for 20 minutes, then requested a base-wide assembly, one that Riley didn't attend until summoned, walking onto the dirt parade ground in the same uniform. Same limp, same sleeves rolled just enough to let the Reaper Fang show. And when Briggs saw her, the man whose face had never flinched in 5 theaters of combat, whose orders had ended insurgencies and leveled hideouts. He stepped forward, heels clicking once, and saluted her. Not a passing nod. Not a lazy tilt, but a full, formal salute held longer than protocol. And in that heartbeat of stunned silence, he said the words that shattered the base's arrogance. "Ma'am, we thought you were dead." And Riley, calm as stone, simply replied, "Most of me was." And in that moment, the entire detachment saw her not as a woman, not even as a superior, but as a survivor of something they couldn't begin to comprehend. And the tattoo that had seemed like a joke now radiated a weight they couldn't bear, because whispers began to spread, not officially, but through bunk chatter and mess hall mutterings, about a classified mission in Kunar known only as Gorgon V's, about a ghost team sent into a valley without exit, about 3 survivors and 1 radio call made from inside a cave filled with enemy bodies and half a team's worth of dog tags. And Riley's name wasn't even in the redacted reports. Only a line. Operative Switchblade accounted for exfil under unsanctioned duress, but Briggs knew. And more than that, he issued an on-the-spot field commendation, framed and mounted outside the command office with her name, her former unit, and a single quote, "No glory, just ghosts." And the men who'd laughed now avoided her eyes, saluted her without being told, and when new recruits arrived, they learned quickly not to ask about the tattoo, not unless they wanted to be assigned at night watch for a month or forced to rerun their obstacle times against her records, which still stood undefeated, because Monroe wasn't just respected now. She was legend, the kind whispered in cold tents and night patrols, the kind that made operators stare at the fire too long, thinking of what it must have taken to come back. Not just from the blood and broken bones, but from the betrayal of silence, the years where her name wasn't spoken, her files sealed, her medals boxed without ceremony, but she never spoke of it. Never bragged, just trained harder, expected more. And when a new female tech tried to ask if the tattoo hurt, Riley just looked at her and said, "Only when people laugh," and walked away. And when a visiting senator made a comment about her decorative ink, Briggs himself shut him down with a single sentence. That ink kept 15 men alive. And after that, no one asked again, and the detachment that had mocked her became the sharpest on base, not because they were shamed, but because they were remade, tempered by the knowledge that greatness wore no rank and trauma left marks deeper than ink. And the legend of Switchblade spread far beyond Saber, even reaching SEAL Team 6's command, who quietly invited her to speak to recruits, though she declined every time, saying only, "They'll learn or they won't." And when a former teammate, now wheelchair-bound and living in Texas, sent her a letter with a photo from Kunar, one she'd never seen, of her dragging 2 bodies through smoke with a look of rage so fierce it blurred the lens, she burned the photo in a metal cup behind the barracks, alone, the way she had always been, because survival wasn't something you framed, it was something you carried, like a ghost knife in your ribs, like a fang inked into your skin, like a name no one dares laugh at again.